Alright guys, it's been a few days since our last Championship transfer rumour roundup video and we've got so much to talk over today. Now obviously we are in January, the transfer window is officially open, the deals have started to go through, some of which will be discussed in today's video. And as always, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Anything that you've seen going on around your club, get it in the comments and we'll discuss next time. 500 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated, but without any further ado, let's jump in. So the obvious place to start out is with some managerial news. We'll start out with Plymouth Argyle, obviously having previously parted company with Wayne Rooney, are on the lookout for their next manager, and it is Steven Schumacher, who is the odds-on favourite, going off the bookies odds right now, to land this role. Now, Plymouth fans, I'd be keen to get your take on this one in the comments down below. What would you make of a potential Schumacher return, given the way he went about leaving the club? It's a tough one, really, because Schumacher obviously had Plymouth on a really good trend last season before leaving. Went on to do a solid job at Stoke and was obviously quite harshly treated there. He's now back available on the market. Other options are under consideration, but yeah, going off the bookies odds, he is the odds-on favourite. Obviously, speaking of Stoke City, they've gone ahead and appointed Mark Robins. He wasn't long out to the game, wasn't he, after he left Coventry earlier in the season. Listen, I think Robins is a fantastic manager at this level. I think Stoke have obviously secured an upgrade from Narcic Pelac, but what I would say about Stoke is I don't think the success or failure of that football club, certainly in recent times, has been totally determined by who the head coach or manager is, and I don't necessarily think that will totally change with Robins. I think the problems at Stoke go a little bit deeper than who the head coach is. But listen, I really like Robins. I've got a lot of time for him. I'm glad he's back in the Championship quite swiftly. But Stoke City aren't going to be an overnight fix, and someone like Robins, you'd think Stoke have hired with a view to have him for quite a number of years. We've also got West Brom, who are on the hunt for their next manager following the departure of Carlos Corberán. Now, going off the latest bookmakers odds, Swansea boss Luke Williams is the favourite for the West Brom job. It makes things interesting that West Brom are playing Swansea this weekend as well. With that being said, there have been a few reports I've seen from local West Brom press stating that Williams perhaps isn't the clear frontrunner like the bookies are suggesting for the West Brom job, so I'm sure we're going to get a lot more updates on that over these next few days. Seems like the Baggies are keen to take their time and get this next appointment spot on. Now jumping over to some done deals, we've seen Ashley Barnes returning to Burnley. He signed on a contract until the end of the season, obviously. Barnes enjoyed his peak years previously playing at Turf Moor. He'll now be part of that promotion charge for the second half of the campaign. It did look likely that a departure from Carroll Road was going to be on the cards for Barnes this January. A couple of weeks ago we reported on the rumours linking him with a move to Sheffield United. Obviously someone who has struggled with injuries of late, but someone who will add tons of experience to that Burnley forward line. It'll be interesting to see where Andre Gray ends up next, because he has been let go by Plymouth Argyle. He originally joined Plymouth on a short-term contract which was only valid until January. That deal has now come to an end and he will be on the lookout for his next club. 33 years old, he scored 3 goals in 13 league appearances for Plymouth during his short stay at Home Park. I imagine there'd be a few EFL sides looking at him at the moment. And we've seen QPR adding to their back line, with Ronnie Edwards signing on loan from Southampton until the end of the season. Now, Southampton picked up Ronnie Edwards from Peterborough over the summer in a deal worth around about £3 million. Since that point, the 21-year-old hasn't really featured much for the Saints in the Premier League, so a loan spell out to the Championship I think probably was the best thing for him right now. 21 years old, I'll be interested to see what he's all about for the second half of this season for QPR. Norwich have signed Aston Villa youngster Lewis Dobbin on loan for the remainder of the season. He obviously spent the first half of the season out on loan with West Brom. During that spell, didn't really get that much action. He made 17 appearances for West Brom in the Championship, but 16 of those games were as a second half substitute. In the end, he only played 326 minutes of football, so he'll be hoping to get a little bit more action at Norwich now. And Preston North End have finally been addressing their defensive issues. We've gone ahead and signed Lewis Gibson from Plymouth. 24-year-old defender arrives on a 3.5-year deal, reportedly for a 7-figure fee as well, so Plymouth will get a decent chunk of change from this one. Honestly, this is a position that Preston have been absolutely crying out to improve. A left-footed defender has been badly needed for quite some time. We only really got Andrew Hughes in that role at the moment. I know we've got Liam Lindsay as well, but he's much more of a central centre-half. Someone like Gibson gives us an extra option on that side. Obviously, someone who's a lot younger than Andy Hughes as well. Comes in with really good reviews from Plymouth, and it's nice to see North End being quite proactive in their business as well. I think this deal really does tick a lot of boxes for us. But those are some of the done deals that have gone through in the Championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. So we're seeing Middlesbrough forward Emmanuel Latte Lath being heavily linked with a move to the Premier League. It's Leicester City, the latest club interested in the Middlesbrough forward. Now, recently reports did come out claiming that Leicester were quite close to striking a £12 million agreement with Middlesbrough for their prized asset. However, it's since come out by local reports that that's not the case, and no such agreement has been made between Leicester and Middlesbrough. It's also been claimed that Middlesbrough would be looking for significantly more than 12 million if they were to sell Latte Lath in the January window. Now, the good news for Borough is that the player is on a fairly long-term contract. He's contracted until the summer of 2027, and the club also have an extra year to insert in that deal should they choose as well. Now, Latte Lath, I feel like, is someone who's going to get spoken about quite a lot throughout this window. His agent's already been quite proactive in maybe trying to find a move for his agent. He's already come out with some interesting comments in recent weeks. Obviously, you've got the link to West Ham that's been there as well. Ipswich have previously been linked. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about him quite a bit on the channel over these next few weeks. And we've had quite a significant update in the battle for Aston Villa forward Louis Barry. Obviously, plenty of Championship clubs still interested in the Aston Villa youngster who spent the first half of the season out on loan in League One, playing for Stockport County. He's since been recalled from that loan spell, and it was originally thought that Villa were prepared to send him out on loan somewhere in the Championship for the second half of the season, but reports have since come out claiming that Aston Villa are prepared to sell him on a permanent basis. So a Championship club could be landing themselves a brilliant deal here if the money is right. Obviously, someone with so much potential, Louis Barry, he's only 21 years old, coming off the back of a fantastic first half of the season in League One where he scored 15 goals and got 2 assists. You've got all the usual suspects who are continuing to be linked with him, the likes of Middlesbrough, Leeds, Sunderland, Sheffield United, amongst others. It feels like that battle's going to be quite fierce, especially with him available on a permanent transfer. A potential return to the Championship could be on the cards for former Leicester City forward Kelechi Iheanacho, with Watford supposedly interested in a loan deal for the second half of the season for the Nigerian forward. Now, since he made the move to Spain and signed for Sevilla, he's not really had that much of a run in their first team, only playing 401 minutes of La Liga football this season. Obviously, we all saw Iheanacho in the Championship for Leicester last season, scored 5 goals, got 1 assist in 23 appearances for the Foxes during that promotion season. With Watford interested in a loan deal, he's one to keep your eye on. Not the news that Stoke fans will want to hear right now, but Sheffield United are reportedly interested in signing Tom Cannon on a permanent basis. Obviously, the Leicester City forward currently out on loan with Stoke City, where he's done really well so far. He's their top scorer in the Championship with 9 goals, also has an assist to his name as well. For whatever reason, the move to Leicester just hasn't worked out whatsoever for Cannon, has it? In the Championship last season, barely got a sniff under Enzo Maresca, and then upon being promoted to the Premier League was sort of immediately sent out on loan. Sheffield United looking to bolster their forward line. I can understand why they'd be looking at a player like Tom Cannon. He's someone who's at a very good age, 22 years old. I do think is a good prolific Championship forward with the potential to maybe make it as a Premier League player one day. He's probably not quite there yet, at least Leicester didn't think so, but I can definitely understand why he'd be a player Sheffield United are looking at. And another player the Blades are supposedly looking at in January is Preston's Emil Rees. Now, the interesting thing about Rees is that he is out of contract with North End at the end of the season. I'm sure North End want to keep him around and that he will be offered a new contract, but Rees Reece will no doubt be weighing up his options in January, and there's definitely potential for Sheffield United to sign him for a cut fee because of his contract situation. Now, weighing up both players, Tom Cannon, Emile Reece, I mean, I've seen them both in the flesh at North End. There's no doubt Tom Cannon's a much better forward than Emile Reece, but the fact that you could get Emile Reece for a fraction of the price of Cannon could go into the Blades thinking this January. He's a bit of a weird player as well, Reece. He's scored 7 goals so far this season, has sort of been in and out of that North End starting 11. Does have a knack for popping up in the right place at the right time and scoring goals, but his overall game, I mean, it is really frustrating. Any Preston North End fan will tell you that, you know, his overall game isn't brilliant in terms of first touch, bringing others into play and things like that, and can be a bit of a frustrating watch, especially when he's not scoring. But he is a bit of a streaky player, and when he finds a bit of confidence, can be a very good player at this level. So yeah, he's definitely one to keep your eye on. Joseph Rosales is someone under consideration by Preston North End as we're looking to strengthen our wing-back options. The Honduran international currently playing for Minnesota in MLS. He's 24 years old, coming off the back of a decent season in the States as well, where he scored once and got 7 assists in the league. One important thing to note with him though is that he is on a decent contract in America currently, where he's under contract until the end of 2027. The good news for Middlesbrough is that they will be holding on to Ben Doak for the time being, despite Crystal Palace expressing an interest in the Liverpool youngster. Reportedly, Palace swooped in with an offer of around 50 million to try and sign Doak on a permanent basis, which would have obviously pulled him out of Middlesbrough, but Liverpool have promptly rejected that bid, with the Reds said to value Doak closer to 30 million. Obviously, he's been one of the most entertaining players to watch in the Championship this season. I don't think Borough fans ever thought that they'd be able to sign him on a permanent basis, but they should at least be able to enjoy having him on loan for the remainder of the season. That is unless anyone comes in with a mammoth offer of around about 30 million for him in January. Ryan Longman's long-term future in the Championship is currently up in the air. He's out of contract with Hull at the end of the season, and currently Hearts are among the clubs who are interested in signing the Hull City man. Now, he is set to miss Hull's next couple of matches via injury, but whether or not anything happens in regards to a move before the end of the month, we'll have to wait and see. And it doesn't seem as though Ben Godfrey will be moving to Leeds United. Leeds have been keeping tabs on the Atalanta star in recent months, but according to the latest reports, it does seem as though a move to Ipswich could be on the cards for Godfrey instead, with the former Norwich City star reportedly in talks with the Tractor Boys, which could go down as a bit of a controversial move because of his links previously with Norwich. But for the sake of Leeds United, that doesn't look like a deal they'll be pursuing, and will instead look at alternatives in that position perhaps. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and get all your thoughts in the comments down below. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.